Hi everyone, welcome to this class. In this class I'm going to show you how I made this number cake using a chocolate transfer sheet. For those of you who took the live class, I apologize in advance because you haven't received the recording earlier. Apparently there was some technical difficulties and the class wasn't being recorded, so I had to redo this all over again in order to be able to send you a recorded version. Without further ado, let's get started. Here I have a heat-proof bowl. I use the double boiler method because I feel it's safer, so you won't burn the chocolate like in the microwave, but I'm going to explain the microwave method as well if you prefer to do that. And I'm using the Stover Sweet Shop candy melts in ultra white. I have listed the link to these in the PDF that you downloaded. And I'm simply going to add some boiling water to a saucepan, and I'm gonna set my portable stove to a low to medium heat, and just make sure that the bowl is not touching the water. I'm gonna leave these for a few minutes until they start to melt. As you can see here, my chocolate is starting to melt. While mixing this, I'm gonna explain the microwave method quickly. So if you prefer melting the chocolate in the microwave, what I do is use a heat-proof bowl as well and place the chocolate in the microwave at 30 seconds interval until it is 70% melted. So what I mean by this is place it in the microwave for 30 seconds, take it out, give it a stir, another 30 seconds, take it out, give it a stir, and so on until it is at about 70% melted. When it is at 70% melted, just take it out and give it a quick stir until everything is fully melted. With this method as well, I melt the chocolate at about 70% as well. I take it off from the heat and I keep stirring until everything is fully melted. Now that the chocolate is fully melted, we are ready to create our chocolate transfer number. So here I have some chocolate transfer sheets. Unfortunately, this was one of the only designs I had left. I know that in the image that you saw earlier, it was a Halloween themed cake, but I only had this sheet left, so I had to use it to demonstrate how I made this cake. So you can find these on the Sugar Art website under chocolate transfer sheets. There are so many designs, and you can also request a customized design. I have these number templates. These are from Christine's Molds. They come from 0 to 9, and I think they come in 2 sizes, but I have the 8-inch size. So I'm going to be using the 0 number, and what I do is place the template under the transfer sheet in order for me to be able to trace how much chocolate and where to place the chocolate. So this is what I do. If you are using a different number than 0, make sure that you flip the number before adding it under the sheet. And the reason why we do this is to make sure that the number is not facing the wrong way whenever we move the chocolate sheet from it, because the chocolate sheet is gonna come on top of the number. So if you are using any number other than 0, make sure that you flip the number. And now what I'm simply gonna do is add the chocolate on the transfer sheet. I'm gonna try to follow the 0 as much as I can. And now using an offset spatula, I'm simply gonna spread this, and just make sure that you don't get a really thick layer and not a really thin layer, because if you get a really thick layer, it will be very difficult to cut through the chocolate, and a really thin layer will not be stable enough to hold when you want to remove the chocolate from the chocolate sheet. Whenever you are done spreading the chocolate, give this a vigorous shake. This will make sure that no air bubbles will be trapped on the chocolate sheet, and you will get a smooth finish whenever you remove the chocolate from the chocolate sheet. And what I'm doing here is simply making sure that I am covering the whole area that I need to cut in order not to have any gaps. So I'm gonna leave this to set at room temperature. We don't want this to fully set, so in order for us to be able to cut it. So with the chocolate that I'm using, it took about 5 minutes. While we're waiting for our chocolate to set, we're going to cut our number cakes. So I baked this a day in advance. I left it at room temperature and wrapped in cling film. Now it is preferable to set this in the fridge. Someone during the live class mentioned that they set it in the freezer. So it's always better to have the cake super cold, not super frozen, but not at room temperature like I did. But anyways, this is simply my vanilla cake recipe. You can find the recipe on my YouTube channel. And don't make the mistake that I made, and please measure your ingredients, because I added more baking powder than I should and I didn't let my cake rest. So when you see, you're gonna see when I am leveling the cake that it has so many bubbles in it. So please be smarter than me and don't be in a hurry. And I'm simply going to use the templates to cut through my sheet cake. If you are using a number other than 0, whenever you are cutting the cake, just place the number normally. So do not flip it. We're only going to flip the number whenever we are cutting through the chocolate. And the templates here make it very easy to cut through. And I'm going to be doing 2 layers. You can do as many layers as you want, of course. And we're gonna get rid of any excess, and then we're gonna move on to cutting the chocolate. Now this whole process took around 5 minutes. It really depends on the chocolate you are using. In order to know when your chocolate is set, simply like you can touch it and you can see that it's not transferring. So we know if you place the template on the chocolate, it's not gonna ruin the chocolate. So again, if you are using a different number, please make sure that you flip the number whenever you are cutting through the chocolate. So here I have some boiling water, an X-Acto knife, and a paper towel. I simply dip my X-Acto knife in the boiling water and then dry it using the paper towel. And the reason why I do this is because it's easier to cut through the chocolate. Just make sure that the template is secure and don't push too hard on the chocolate. Either it is with the template or with the X-Acto knife, and this is why I use the boiling water, to make it easier to cut through the chocolate without any efforts. So at this point, we are repeatedly running the X-Acto knife through the chocolate to make sure that it is cut all the way through. Now you can't see it on camera, but what you're looking for here is you're trying to cut through the chocolate until your X-Acto knife actually reaches the chocolate transfer sheet. And after you are done with this, set the chocolate transfer sheet aside until it is 100% set, so you are able to remove it from the sheet without the number breaking. So while we're waiting for our chocolate number to set, we're going to fill our cake. And I'm using a 2A tip by Wilton. You can use whichever tip you want. And I simply chose to fill it with vanilla buttercream. I have many buttercream recipes on my channel, so feel free to visit my YouTube channel. The link is listed in the PDF that you received in the last page. And I'm simply going to fill my piping bag and we are ready to make the cake. I'm going to add a few buttercream dots on my first layer so that it sticks on the board. The board that I'm using here is from New York Cake, and what I'm doing here is simply adding some simple syrup, and I highly recommend using simple syrup with ladder cakes because they are basically naked cakes, so they are gonna dry super fast in the fridge. So make sure that you add simple syrup to keep those layers moist. And for those of you who don't know, it's simply a mixture of granulated sugar and water, and it's gonna keep the cake layers moist and it's not gonna make it any sweeter. Now I'm piping buttercream dots on the outer and inner corners. If you're not going to be adding any fillings or sauces like I am, make sure that you pipe more buttercream in the middle as well. Otherwise, I'm using this mango glitter glaze by Satin Ice. I also linked these in the PDF. They have many colors and they are about $5, I believe. You can get these from New York Cake as well. And we're gonna repeat the same process. I'm gonna add the second layer. I'm gonna add more simple syrup as well, and buttercream and the filling. Now that we have filled our cake, we are ready to remove the chocolate from the transfer sheet. You're gonna have to be a bit careful here, but what's good about this sheet is that when the chocolate is 100% set, it gets detached from the sheet by itself. You can't see this on camera, but you're gonna be able to see this live, of course. So if you cut through this correctly, you're not gonna have any issues. Now, other numbers might be a bit more difficult than the 0 one, so be careful whenever you are removing these from the sheet. And finally, you're simply gonna place your chocolate on the cake and you will be done. You can add any decorations you want, and I really hope you enjoyed this class, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I am happy to help. I wish you all have a good day. Bye!